Thanks very much, guys. Hi, welcome back to Waxing On. Year-end wrap-up. Boy, 2023, just a few hours away from being done. Au revoir, sayonara, see you later. Last of 2023, 2024 kicking off. And as we like to do, we're going to look back over the last year and just see what the trends were. Now, we started the program May 2020. Never expected it would go this long. 547 episodes. I can't believe it. I mean, 547 episodes. And we've talked about albums, we've talked about tapes, we've talked about CDs, we've talked about streaming, we've talked about movies, we've talked about books, we've talked about everything on here. And the goal really is to get you some new ideas of things you can listen to. Some new artists, new music, kind of expand the listening library. So this year, no different. We had some new finds. We've reviewed some old albums. We had a great run. We added a couple of new programming things to our lineup. Halloween, we had Halloween Horror Week, where we looked at horror movies that you could kind of watch to get yourself in the mood for Halloween. And this year at Christmas season, we started Christmas Film Friday, where we looked at some of my favorites and a lot from my library of Christmas movies that we watch every year. And both these seem to be pretty well received. Actually, one of the ones, actually it wasn't a Christmas movie, one of our video reviews actually ended up in the top 10. And that was one we just did in the last week. So, I mean, pretty amazing. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got here. Firstly, let's start off with the top 10. Top 10 watched videos from our 2023 season, where we did 100 and, let me see, what did I have on there now? 147 videos this year. It's a lot of time in the chair, man. A lot of listening. Okay, let's take a look. Number 10, The Dreadnoughts, band from Western Canada. If you like bands like Dropkick Murphys, it's a lot of the same thing, that Celtic kind of feel with a rocky edge. This one we profiled was called Sea Shanties, and it did quite well. I mean, for a small Canadian band that I thought probably not a lot of people have heard of, it turned out to be in the top 10 views this year. Very, very good album. Number 9, of course, Dolly Parton. We did a profile just on Dolly's music, and always well received. I mean, we run the gamut here from everything from rock and roll, country, bluegrass, spoken word, comedy, folk, jazz, everything's in there. So you never know what's going to pop up. But Dolly had a good showing on there. We looked, I think, at her greatest hits album, maybe, was the one that we're really profiling here. And for number 9, number of views. Number 8, one of our Christmas albums, Ringo Starr, and I Want to Be Santa Claus. Ringo, I mean, he was on tour last year. He's one of my favorites. He's one of the great Beatles that are out there, and really a man of the people. He does the smaller venues. He does great shows with his all-star band. It's really exciting. And when I found this Christmas album, I thought, boy, there's something really going to be a lot of fun, and a lot of people did watch it. Number 8 on our top 10 list. Number 7, Elvis Costello. I call it the jazz album. My Flame Burns Blue. A very jazzy type of album. Horns, some big band, some Mingus tunes, and quite different from early Elvis Costello, but fared fairly well. I mean, it was a little different. A lot of people seem to get behind that. Okay, number 6 was the video. Ben Stiller Show. Not Christmassy, but our last video of the Christmas season. And I think mainly, I mean, we got 4 superstars in there. We've got Bob Odenkirk, we've got Andy Dick, Janine Garofalo, Ben Stiller from 1990. So over 30 years ago, they had a TV show on MTV. This is the season. It only lasted 1 season. Chance to check out some early performances from some real superstars. Okay, number 5 on our top 10 list. It was tribute to Gordon Lightfoot. Gordon had just passed. We pulled out a couple of old Gordon Lightfoot greatest hits albums. And it wasn't really greatest hits. Gord's Gold, they were called. Gord's Gold 1, Gord's Gold 2. And these albums were re-recordings of songs. It wasn't like they went back and just took the track they had off the original album and put it together and called it Greatest Hits Album, put it out. Gordon went back in the studio and re-recorded all of the songs on these albums. He wanted fresh takes on them because they had evolved a lot since he first recorded them. And he wanted to present it from where he was today. So, I mean, that's quite a feat to do a Greatest Hits album by re-recording all of those hits again. And he did, and they were just two great albums. Number 4, Rolling Stones. Hadn't heard from them in a long time, right? They put out a few concert albums. They hadn't done an album in live material since this one, Bigger Bang. Last album with Charlie Watts on it. Now this year they have put out a new album. At the time the show was recorded, they had not done that at that stage. So that was the last real Rolling Stones recording we had. The last with, I don't even want to say the original group because I know there's some changes in there, but the last with Charlie Watts. So well worth checking out. Number 3, another old album from the 60s, Yardbirds. And this one, Little Games, we had picked it because it featured guitarist Jimmy Page before Led Zeppelin. So a chance to hear some early Jimmy Page on there. And again, it fared fairly well. I mean, what do we have? Number 3 on the list of top 10 shows this year. Jimmy Page, Yardbirds. Number 2, Bob Dylan and Budokan, the original album. This year they repackaged a box set that they were getting ready for around the Christmas season. Lots of performances in there, the same Bob Dylan and Budokan, but extra tunes, special packaging, but I found it pretty expensive. Went back and we looked at the original Budokan album, and again, a lot of people maybe had not listened to this album before. I know originally they didn't even want to release it in North America. Columbia didn't want it out. It was just strictly for Japanese release, but it's a great album. And with Bob, the great thing is, even these tunes, although they may be familiar, he's always doing a new take on them. There's always a new twist. It's like a whole new album every time. It was actually 2 albums together. It was the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper from 1967, and Mothers of Invention, We're Only in It for the Money from 1968. Now, we got 2 albums. They look very similar. The packaging was similar. Photos on the covers were a takeoff. Zappa was making fun of the Beatles, I guess, being only in it for the money, doing stuff for, losing sight of the music. And he copied a lot of what was on the Sgt. Pepper album in the packaging, not in the music necessarily, but that combination of the 2 of them kind of battling it out together turned out to be our number 1 video last year. So well worth checking out. Just going to give you some numbers here in case you want to check them out. Dreadnoughts was episode 436. Dolly Parton was episode 453. Ringo, I Want to Be Santa Claus, episode 530. The Elvis Costello Jazz Album, 457. We've got the Ben Stiller video was 546, so it was the last one before this show. Gordon Lightfoot Tribute, 455. Sorry, what did I tell you with Ben Stiller? 546. I may have said 400. 546. The Rolling Stones' Bigger Bang was episode 502. Yardbirds with Jimmy Page, we're looking at 525. Bob Dylan and Budokan, 513. And the number 1 album, Beatles versus the Mothers of Invention, 477. Go back and check them out. Now you also notice if you're on my page, we got a lot of playlists. Everything's been subdivided. Classical, jazz, rock, country, comedy, spoken word. I realize that what I post over the course of the week, maybe not everybody enjoys every style of music we talk about, but go in and check the playlists. Check the style you like. There's lots of episodes under each of those to give you some new ideas in your viewing. Now, I had a couple of things that were surprises this year. While I'm pulling out a lot out of my library, I do like to go through and check online and see what's out there that I didn't know about. I mean, I'm kind of limited what was available to me on record stores and places like that. So always great to discover some new albums or new music that I really wasn't aware of. And I found 5 that really caught me off guard, really surprised me, and really became part of my playlist. Number 1, Derek Watkins' album, great, great trumpet player from England. Played on all of the James Bond soundtracks. Regular member of the James Last Orchestra. Played on the album Chicago. He's done it all. Great, great lead player. Solo album that he put out. This was a special find. Second one, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. From bluegrass with Alison Krauss, Led Zeppelin singer, the two of them working together. Just quite an experience. Really enjoyed the music. Feel left out, I kind of missed them this year. They did appear at Blues Fest in Ottawa this year, but it's just such a crowd there. It's hard to really enjoy a concert. But yeah, well worth taking a listen to those two. It was really a surprise. This other one, Hollywood Gone Wild. Who wasn't on this album? I mean, it was all kinds of Hollywood stars with bands doing songs. And it wasn't just kind of a gimmicky recording. It was bands that they actually play with and recordings they do. Johnny Depp's on there, Russell Crowe's on there. I mean, a lot of great stuff. I found some that I really enjoyed that I really wasn't aware of. So well worth checking out. I'll just go back for a minute. Derek Watkins, episode 440. Robert Plant and Alison Krauss, episode 458. The Hollywood Gone Wild, 459. I mean, there's a lot of information there. Check out the thing if you're interested, because it gives you a rundown of who's playing on it, and you might be surprised some of the artists that contributed to this album. Okay, episode 499, Janis Joplin's Acoustic Blues album. I mean, before we got into Big Brother, before we got into the Cosmic Blues and everything else, here's Janis and the guitar player from Jefferson Airplane sitting down, just in the kitchen, playing some tunes. It's called The Kitchen Tapes, I think, and you can actually hear stuff going on in the background. It wasn't even meant to be recorded. It was just them recording what they were doing. But it's released, and it's great to hear her doing this acoustic style before it got into all the electric and all the excess. Just an excellent album. And my number one surprise this year was a Christmas album, Jethro Tull's Christmas. I just couldn't get over that. I've listened to that so many times. Ian Anderson on flute, his arrangements, his playing, just the style, the music they put together with that Jethro Tull style, mixing it in with some Christmas tunes. It was one of the biggest surprises this year. I didn't even know it existed. So glad I found that. So a lot of great music out there. A lot of great music for you to check out. A lot of great music for you to experience, whether it's online, hard copies. A lot of what we've talked about this year came from discount bins, came from secondhand stores, came from yard sales. People are getting rid of their old hard copy collections. Good chance for you to pick up some great tunes, some great older music. Now, I talk about these old tunes, you say, oh, well, you know, I don't listen to that old music. I look at my data from YouTube, and my audience supposedly is in that 35 to 45 year range, so they're enjoying that old music as well. And like I mentioned a couple episodes ago with the Beatles, pull that stuff out. It's not like I'm listening to old-timey music. I'm listening to just some classic music that still stands up great today. Still is just as relevant and as exciting as it was 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago with the Let It Be album, you know. So don't discount it just because it's not current, not this year. There's some great stuff that laid the foundation for the musicians you're hearing today. Okay, that's it for our show. We're going to be kicking off in a minute. I just want to thank a number of people. We want to thank everybody that's been watching the show over the last year. I really appreciate it. Those that have subscribed, thank you very much. Nice to have the subscribers in there. Those that have shared the videos with their friends and gave us a few extra views. Yeah, really great. Those that commented, always great to see your comments. Nice when I had a few people actually telling me where they were from at the same point, and it's really hard to believe how globally, you know, we're reaching with this, that people on the other side of the world are actually listening to some of these shows and have comments to put in, and that's really exciting for me. I mean, I'm not monetized, I'm not making any money off this. It's nice to see some sort of response back and to see how far this show is reaching and what it means to people to talk about some of this music. Also want to thank my technical crew, my makeup, wardrobe, set design, the people that are here every week helping out, the advisors that help all this straight. Great to have all of them. Just want to say, end of 2023, I know some of you may be already celebrating the new year, depending on when you're seeing this and where you are in the world. For the rest of us, it's coming up in a few hours, so if you want to get out, Enjoy your celebrations. If you're watching on TV, watching the ball drop. All the best for 2024. We'll see you then. That's it for today. So until 2024, everybody take care. Stay safe. We'll see you in the new year. Bye. Happy New Year.